Welcome to JED's Journal Podcast from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Now here's your host, Jim Diedlow.
Trump put a bunch of tariffs on, and they started yesterday. And here is what is projected, that some of the things that are going to cost a lot more, especially by Goldman Sachs putting some of this stuff up. Number one is going to be computers and electronic goods. The main makers are China, Mexico, Taiwan, and they all got Vietnam, Malaysia. They've all got big tariffs coming their way. China already has a 30% tariff, and they could shoot way higher if they don't reach a trade deal very shortly here. Certainly Vietnam's got one also. Clothing is going to go up. You don't realize almost all clothing is made in China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia. Watches, shoes. Your shoes are going to cost a lot more. Alcohol, furniture, toys, and here's what Goldman Sachs says. In addition to the fact that businesses haven't been fully passing on tariff costs to consumers thus far in anticipation of the tariffs, they have stockpiled a lot of goods. And Goldman Sachs is saying about 3 months from now is when you should really start feeling they got rid of all that surplus, and now a lot of the goods are starting to cost a lot more. And they're saying it should take about 8 months to get the full effect of the cost of imported consumer goods to be fully realized in consumer prices. Now, also, I mean, I know that's not great news, but the number of people have come up to me about getting a new NIPSCO bill. Now, I am on the plan where you just pay the same amount, so I'm not seeing it. Anybody's NIPSCO bill go up precipitously, just call me. I would like to know exactly how the effect is on the average, on some of your NIPSCO bills. I know that I thought that the price increase on the electric was still in the works. So I don't know. It kind of surprised me that people are already getting higher bills. You could call us at 219-845-1100. And then I can tell you how many people are coming up and asking about the Borman. And I want to just summarize that construction is supposed to start late this year or in the fall, not the winter. And it is supposed to last for 3 years. And if you think that the Borman is bad now, I'm not looking forward to I work north of the Borman, and then I just hop over the Borman, and then I go to work here right just south of it. So I'm never really more than, in the average work day, I'm usually not more than 3 blocks away from the Borman. And it's been a big part of my personal life, most of my life. And they're going to try to make it one of the most tech-oriented roadways in America, with reversible lanes, stoplights at the entrances and exits. So if there's too many people on a Borman and you're trying to get on, you can't just merge. You got to wait for the stoplight. They may even put little gates that have to lift up so you can go on. The big thing is they're going to start ripping up the roads in a couple of months, and they're putting in fiber optic to connect these 14 massive, it's 14 miles from 394 to I-65, and they're going to put a massive gantry billboard every half mile in both directions. I mean, these are massive, massive billboards that have words above it, and then it'll tell you what your speed limit is for your lane. It'll also tell you if they're gonna open up all these lanes on the side that for emergency breakdowns and that kind of thing. Well, they're gonna make it so that during peak times you can drive on those, and it'll be a lane. And then if it's not a peak time, there'll be an X above that lane, and you're not supposed to be in it. And the whole thing is very hard to understand, but it's at IndianaFlexRoad.com. All right, So I don't have any phone calls, correct? Oh, I do? All right. I got 3 phone calls. I didn't know that. All right. Hey, let's take a couple. 219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air.
What's up, Jimmy?
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? You sound like you're a little coming in hot there, brother.
What do you mean? Like my mic's a little hot?
No. I mean, you're so good looking, dude. You're hot.
Okay.
What are you,
Thank you. You know, the sun. You know, I have a suntan from beating my buddies at golf yesterday, and it just feels really good.
Okay, so let's get to this real quick. First, did you tell the new girl she can swear all she wants because everything's a podcast and radio is dead? Like you've said for like the last 20 years, except...
That is so untrue. I don't mind you calling me some political name, and, you know, we'll argue about that, but radio is not dead. Radio is actually very kind of secretly done really well over the, you know, I guess the decline of newspapers mainly. Radio has held its own.
That's called conservative radio, Jimmy.
What do you mean?
Advertising rates in conservative radio are skyrocketing, my brother.
Well, let's talk. Why do you think that is?
Because the entire world is shifting to the right. They like law and order. They like conservatism. They like people following the rules. They like an orderly society. They don't like carjacking. They don't like all their money going to the government and then going right down the crapper. That's why. So let's get to the most important segment today you missed, Jimmy. You missed a golden opportunity. How come when you had Ronnie in there, you didn't have take calls, man? Could have that guy sit there for an hour. Your phones would have lit up like a Christmas tree. I would have loved to call into Maylock. That would have been a good time, huh? Love that Arkansas T-shirt he had on. And why didn't he bring a melon in?
All right, so he doesn't have any. They're in short supply right now. He said he might have some for the weekend.
Listen, I go.
So hold on a second. First of all, I mean, obviously there is that ridicule of changing his name as kind of like a degrading comment.
Name, right?
But let's go past that, all right? And that I think you have a good point about conservative talk radio, as that has kind of taken over a lot of radio, and that liberal radio basically doesn't exist. And what I believe is that, hold on, I'll let you talk. What I believe is that it has gotten away from independent voices radio, where people are able to tell their story and tell how they feel, and that they're able to talk to each other both on conservative and liberal sides. It's gotten away from that. If you listen to a lot of the conservative talk radio, like Levin, they don't take any phone calls. They don't really want the other side's story, and everybody's an idiot. Everybody's an idiot who doesn't agree with Mark Levin. And it's similar if you go into other media, not so much radio. On the other side, on the liberal side, it's like, oh my gosh, who are these dumb MAGA heads that support Donald Trump? I get all of that division, and I get how conservative talk radio has grown. But I think that over time, you are going to see what we do here at WJOB will start to become more in favor, which is people talking to each other that have opposing views. You may not realize it, but what you're doing now, and you're coming together with many liberal listeners, and not so much callers, but listeners, and we're all here swimming in the same fishbowl. The rest of the day, especially in terms of the media, very few people swim in the same fishbowl with people of the opposing philosophy. So what we're doing will come back, and it won't all be one side or the other.
I don't mean to break the news to you, Jimmy. I don't know if do you ever listen to the radio other than like never?
What are you talking about?
There's like 4 stations in Chicago. They got talk radio all day. They take calls all day, left, right. Everybody calls. Everybody, white people, black people, conservatives, rich, poor. Everybody calls in and gets their opinion.
You know what? I have to politely disagree with the fact that
I must be making
media
this
that
up, right?
have. I mean, you're contradicting what you already said.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you said, conservative talk radio's taking over all of radio, and then I'm like, well, I kind of agree with you. And then you're like, well, I don't know, Jed. I mean, look at the city of Chicago. It's not really happening. So which part of your brain am I talking to right now?
The host of many shows are conservative.
Okay,
and
that's
many
my
of the
point. That's your point. What are you saying?
And many of the stations are conservative, but when they have the callers, they got liberal callers, conservative callers. Everybody can call in.
Okay, I don't know which side of the same argument I'm supposed to take with you. You know what I mean?
I know. You're a little stretched in the morning.
I'm kind of lost. I agree with you that the one-sidedness of AM and FM radio, and quite frankly, a lot of podcasts, is certainly is kind of helped the MAGA movement, and which is a little bit surprising why many of the same people that Tucker Carlson is one. I like watching Tucker Carlson. I think he's good.
Yeah, he's starting to lean a little more to the left.
At least he's got he's able to entertain other opinions at times. Sometimes he's out there in my mind, but he has really turned on the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein situation. Oh, yeah, that's an important thing that Joe Biden sat on for 4 years, huh? 4 years he sat on that file and he didn't do a thing with it. Here's the thing. Right now, Joe Biden is probably sitting on his back porch having coffee in the sunshine. Okay, he's not the guy making these decisions.
Now is laying unconscious in a convalescent bed.
That is the shifting of the story that would happen with many of the conservative talk show hosts. They're going to go with that tagline. No, be quiet. Okay, and I'm okay with voicing that opinion like you just did, but I'm also understanding that there are two sides to every story, and one side of this story is not being told, especially on conservative media, and that is what happened to these young women. And every last one of these young women that were trafficked by Epstein, and we don't know who else because they've closed the files, and every one of their lives pre and post the episode with Epstein's sexual trafficking, it has changed all of their lives. Every last one of them.
All you got to do is ask Bill Clinton, baby, and he'll tell you he knows where they're all at.
You see, that is not part of the story that you would like to entertain.
Oh, listen. I didn't go to Epstein Island, and Donald Trump didn't, but big old Billy Clinton, he there 28 times, baby. He's all over that manifest.
See, you've been watching, a long time ago, I felt as if you kind of lost your ability to understand or even synthesize an idea that is antithetical to your argument. So, in this case, when you really stop and think about, what would happen if that happened in Lake County? That some Democratic politician was trafficking women, and then there were some files in an office over here on Holman Avenue that said all the other people that may have had some involvement with this Democratic politician. What would your reaction to that be?
I know what would happen with that. The files would be destroyed and nothing would ever happen, because that happened at one of the Catholic high schools in Hammond, where a big shot in the Hammond area, whose last name starts with an R, broke the computer that had the files in it. They destroyed it. The kid was accused of doing things to some girls at the school, and the computer just poof. All of a sudden, it broke itself in a bunch of pieces, Jimmy.
Now, that is not the example that I brought up with you. Okay,
yeah, but I'm
bringing up with an elected or a very well-known personality gets nabbed for human sexual trafficking. And that person hangs out with a lot of the real rich people and the movers and shakers in Lake County, and it was a Democrat. Don't you think you'd want to know what was going on there? Don't you think you'd have some empathy for the young girls?
Yeah, well, I would think if in 2019 you arrested the guy, and for 4 years you had the file and you didn't do anything. And then it turns out your predecessor named Bill Clinton, who's the only president in the history of our country to stuff a 21-year-old intern under the desk in the Oval Office and then molest her in an office next to the Oval Office.
Wait a second. I'm asking you about, hold on, let's just look at how this goes, okay? I'm asking you for this kind of situation, if it were to happen here with Democratic politicians here in Lake County and human sexual trafficking, and somehow we're going back to the past of Joe Biden's administration sitting on it and Bill Clinton, okay? So I know that's the talking point, all right? But when you start to think about what it happened to these young girls and that there may have been other people that were involved, I think that going back to Tucker Carlson, he's just like, dude, it starts with the young girls. What happened to them? Who did it? And you can't get away from that. And I don't care if you're a Donald Trump supporter or a heavy Democrat. That is the issue. I ask you that question, you can't even answer it. You don't even address it.
What am I to address? They should have addressed it. Merrick Garland sat on the file for 4 years,
there you go.
Jimmy.
That's exactly it. Thank you. Thank you for the phone call. 219-845-1100. Now, Lynette, thank you. Do you know how to hang that up? Did she hang that up? So you are now sitting in that seat, and Adriana was sitting in that seat. I think was a little bit surprised when you first walked in at the depth of some of the conversations, but these are real conversations. Are you prepared to have conversations like that, Lynette? There you go. Turn that baby on, huh?
I mean, I'm having fun listening. I can get down with the drama a few times.
All right, good. All right, that was easy enough, right?
Yeah.
I think it takes a little while to understand, but the real issues of, all right, has she got it now? She's got the guy on hold or the person on hold? Yeah, there you go.
You got like 3 callers.
I know that. So I would much rather have a little bit of training. I know she's learning under you, but you're only 21 years old, so relax, okay? Anyway, so I've done enough. Let's go. Let's take some more phone calls. Now, here's the thing. Just hit next, all right? It's so much easier when you just do that. All right, go ahead. Try it now. All right. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Okay. Yeah, this thing with Trump and Epstein, and I've always been a Trump supporter. Still am pretty much. But you got to admit that there's either one or two things going on here. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was an admitted Mossad agent. I've heard interviews with ex-CIA officers that said everybody and his brother knew Epstein was Mossad. Matter of fact, the latest thing coming out now is he was an informant to the FBI. One of two things. Either Trump is covering up for Israel's connections to a honeypot operation involving little kids, and it could look terrible for Israel for this to come out, or he's involved himself. And I don't think he was involved, but he didn't do himself any favors by running interference the way he is on this. He needed to come clean with everything. The reason people voted for him is because they were sick and tired of the corruption and all that goes on forever and a day. And since evidently he's running interference, this latest thing now with Maxwell, given she I guess she made a statement that Trump was not involved with Epstein's cat house. but that got her a nice transfer to a real cushy federal prison down in Texas. That does not look good for Trump. I got to admit it, as somebody who supported Trump, I'm not going to die on the hill of Donald Trump. It is what it is, and he made his bed. He's got to sleep in it. Simple as that.
All right, hold on. Here's the NBC thing here today. Not long after it was first reported that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to one of the cushiest federal detention facilities in the country, a group dedicated to current and former federal prison staffers has erupted in shock and outrage. And that is from the people that worked in the Bureau of Prisons. They're retirees. Since when are sex offenders allowed at the camp? I don't care who she snitched on, she's a damn human trafficker, wrote one of the former guards at the Bureau of Prisons. That prison does not take sexual traffickers, and somehow she got in. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, you're right, and the thing stinks to high heaven. And personally, over the years, I've heard Israel, ever since they shot up the USS Liberty in 1967, or some of their pilots even refused and got almost threatened with court-martial for not firing on an American ship. They're going to try to blame Egypt for it and bring the U.S. into war. There's some of the Mossad agents were caught live in action during the 9/11 attacks, videotaping the planes crashing into the buildings in New York. They were arrested in our country, shipped back to Israel, and got a hero's welcome when they got back home. And then Jonathan Pollard, the most damaging spy in U.S. history, that was actually transferring secrets on American, military dispositions in Europe, sending him, I guess he was working for Mossad, and Mossad, Israel turned around and turned that information over to the Russians back in the day in order to get some Israeli emigres out of Russia down to Israel. This is the track record with Israel, and it would not look good if it turned out they're running a honeypot operation. I got to believe that that's what Trump's doing. But again, he made this mess for himself, and if he's going to get dragged into this thing now, that's just the way it is.
All right, man. Thanks for your phone call. Mossad is basically the Israeli intelligence agency. 219-845-1100. You know what? Can you turn my mic slightly down? Is that right, or is it at the right level right now? It seems a little bit hot. All right, there you go. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I think your previous caller with the Mossad, he may be spot on, and we've been hearing for years that this was all a Democratic takedown with the Epstein deal. But if you just look at the dates, and Jed, you know me, I'm a pro guy, third-party guy. I'm not a registered Democrat, but all we hear about is Democrats. Well, at that point, at that time, during those dates, this president was a Democrat giving to the Clintons. And I don't. Are we in a different alternate reality here? And as far as you are spot on with the victims, because actually the one victim, and my heart goes out to their family, committed suicide. What is with these people? They have one axe to grind, obviously.
You know, it's obviously not a great topic to talk about, but. No. You know, and I know, it's the actual scandal or the actual problem can, create its own problems, but it's usually in the handling of the problem afterward that takes people down. And I don't think Trump's going to get taken down by this, but that really drags on the whole system. And they got to figure out transparency. They got to be honest about it. They can't just say, I think the biggest mistake they made was saying, we're just done with this and we're going to seal the files and nobody's going to know, and why are you still asking about it? There's nothing to see here. As soon as you did that, you opened up all of these, especially conservative talk show hosts that were so angry, and they have many people that are huge Trump supporters are like, no, you can't do this. You have to go, and we need to know what happened. I mean, something happened here. Tell us. And until they do that, I don't think they're going to get past it.
Well, they ginned this up, and they banged the drum for years, and now it's blowing up in their face, and it almost goes back to when Steve Bannon warned about Elon. And then look what happened. They create their own monster, and then they're pointing fingers at other people. I don't understand it.
You know what's funny right now? If you follow this stuff, is like, Steve Bannon is just he was like a blue-collar Democratic family, right? Mm-hmm. And as he came up, he started to realize he kind of made his name like, being a kind of against blue-collar Democrats. And so he has faded into like kind of being kind of crazy to the way right, and then he'll come back to the center on certain things, but he fades in and out. But now he's kind of in favor again because a lot of his predictions were right, especially about Elon Musk.
Yes. There were a lot of warnings, and Elon Musk would not be the billionaire that he is, just like Bannon said, if he wasn't taking the government money and wasn't rescued by the Obama administration to save his electric car company, which everything's so ironic and hypocritical.
So you see what you're getting to is something that, I've felt on the air for years, is that, and the last caller referred to it, is that one of the reasons that people are so drawn to Trump and that energy is that they're just so sick and tired of things, right? And I agree. But now it's like, gosh, now we're, the same, it's the same thing to be sick and tired about. You know what I mean?
Well, right. We hear about the deep state. We hear about the swamp. Well, people look up Roy Cohn and look up Paul Manafort. See how far back they go as far as, and a lot of people probably don't realize it. Deep state and swamp. It's like, take your pick. Which one do you want?
All right, man. Thanks for the phone call. 219, no, hold on, Lynette. You're in charge, right? So you got to tell me, do I keep going or do I take a break at this juncture? Now, you got to look at the boss over there. What do you do? What do you want?
Yeah, it's time to take a break.
All right, we'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region. Take a couple phone calls. Let's take one right now. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Morning, Jed.
What's up, man?
Not much. I've been trying to text you, so I figured you're in your hot yoga or something that you won't return my text.
Jeez. You know what? I'm kind of in like midsummer relationship with my phone, which is sporadic at best. So if you did, I am so sorry. What's on your mind?
No, it was just about reconnecting with the person that...
Stacy on the podcasting. Yes, yep. That's got to happen. So,
yeah, she'll be back in town today. Maybe I'll have her get a hold of you, and maybe sometime next week.
Yeah, that'd be great. Adriana Alvarez would like to be in on that also. And
most definitely.
Yeah, we'll just do a segment on that. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Stacy. Hold on. Adriana's looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Stacy is big in the podcast world, and will have stuff to teach us that we need to know. And we'll have her on the show and just ask her questions and see where that goes, because we are learning it. Took us years and years, as you well know, Dave, to learn how to stream video and what the business model should be and everything. We're in the infancy of that, and perhaps she could maybe take the learning curve down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you say podcast world, that's literally what she does. I mean, what she does is global. So this is quite a good get to get this sort of information and training and advice for free. This is a big deal, man. So and I know that's the direction that Adriana wants to go and you with the podcasting. And I'm just happen to be fortunate enough that she's a friend of mine, and this is what she does for a living. And I'd love to listen to her and have your question. I mean, I'm sure both of you would have some great questions for her, and then she would have the answers. So, hey, I've been listening to your callers, and a few of them are really were avid Trump supporters. And you notice the pullback, right? And I love what your one caller, a couple callers ago, I'm not going to die on the hill for this guy. That means that means the crust is cracking. And you can tell that he really screwed up. And I'm glad Trump supporters are looking at this and going, hey, he said he was going to open these up. She said she had the files on her desk. All of a sudden, nobody knows nothing about nothing, right? And it's, I don't care who's in the White House, an RRD. When they say they have it and they're going to bring this out, it really is very, very suspicious. When you get to Tucker Carlson's and the Sean Hannity's of the world, it's a big deal. And they're like, hey, you need to, and the vice president, you need to release these right now. And I think their plan B, and this has Stephen Miller written all over it, that they're going to the largest Republican states to have them redistrict. That is literally the Hail Mary, because there's a lot of state constitutions that won't allow that. So he's really trying to hedge and go in a direction that's extremely dangerous. He's going to lose a lot of his supporters. And we don't know the reason yet. There's a reason why these files have not been released. There's a reason why, and they keep using the excuse, we want to protect the victims. And one of the victims came out and said, you could use my name. These have to get out. I don't care. I'm a grown woman now. Yes, this happened to me. So he's really, him and it's not just him because he's not that smart. To put himself, his administration and his handlers, put him in this situation. He is really between a rock and a hard place.
I was listening to Russell Brand. If you ever listen to him, he's kind of a little bit weird sometimes, but he was all over this, like the missing minute in the jail. Joe Rogan criticizes the administration's shift from, wanting to go after this. There was talk of thousands of hours of footage, and then the DOJ to later claim none existed. I mean, he's been all over that. Certainly, Alex Jones has even been on Trump and his folks, and Tucker Carlson's the biggest one. I mean, what is happening there? I could not have predicted these, just tried and true Trump supporters questioning him on anything. They're not questioning him. They're downright criticizing him. And I agree with you. I go, they got to do something. This is not good for America.
Period. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
This is not good. This is not good for America. I think deep down, Trump supporters knew that the president, Donald Trump, my president, was compromised to some extent by Russia and by Israel now. What that is, we'll see. He's really favoring Netanyahu, and he's acting like he's being tough on Putin, but really he's not being tough on Putin. He's being tough on wherever Putin sends the oil. That's their cash cow, right? They're the northern Saudi Arabia. They pump out a lot of oil, and a lot of people buy it from them. So it's like a snapshot of Lake County, right? It's just another black eye that for the country.
It's weird that you say that. By the way, thank you for the phone call. We got to hang up on him there, will you? It's weird that you say that because it does have the feeling of like the Lake County when all the indictments were coming down. It just has that feeling like when all the indictments came down. And I remember we bought the station in 2004, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is coming. And then it took a while, and then all of a sudden, all of this stuff started coming out, and it just took down Jim Weezer's Democratic Party. And how odd is that the next thing we're going to do is the Jim Weezer podcast. So stay where you're at. We're going to take a short moment here to kind of rearrange things, give me a short break, And then we're going to have the Weezer podcast. You can get Weezer podcasts anytime. Just go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Adriana Alvarez runs that podcast network, and he's just one of many. You can go to WJOB1230.com and see the many podcasts. It's Weezer with an IESER, and get it. But we're going to record the next one here in about 5 minutes on the Voice and Face of the Region.
You've been listening to Jed's Journal podcast from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Thank you for listening.